Hi guys, so here's we are gonna today discuss about firefighting and water as a fire extinguisher. So let's start up. So first is what will you do if fire breaks out in your surroundings? The first thing you may do is to call if you are in UAE 999 or if you are in India 101. And next is startup question is who are firefighters? Of course you know. The person who extinguishes fire. It's there over here in this picture. So what is firefighting? So firefighting is the act of attempting to prevent the spread of fire and extinguish significant unwanted fires in buildings, vehicles, woodlands, etc. So here we are knowing the definition of what we say as firefighting. The next is principles of firefighting operations. Now we are going to learn some of the principles. So not some, there are two principles. The two are the bringing down the temperature of the burning substance below the ignition temperature and cutting off the air supply to the burning substances. If we cut off the air supply to the burning substances, then the fire will not it won't burn and fire won't be produced. The next is we have to bring its ignition temperature down. And the next is water as a fire extinguisher. That's our topic. And over here, the questions of the first startup is over here. What will you do if fire breaks out in your surroundings? So, if a fire breaks out in your house or neighborhood, the first thing we must do is to call the fire service by dialing 101 or 998. This 998 is the police is the what 998 is the fire extinguisher service available over here in UAE, and the 101 is the what I say Indian fire extinguisher service. So when a fire brigade arrives, no, when the fire brigade, that means the engine, when it arrives, what will the firemen do? What will be the firefighters do? The firemen or firefighters extinguish the fire by throwing water under pressure on the fire. Now you may think that like if the electrical appliances because of electrical appliances, if the fire gets caught, then could we use fire? No. Could we use water? No, we can't use water. It is because water is a very good conductor of electricity. And the second thing, like if fire is caused by what I say inflammable substances like petrol, diesel, etc., we cannot use water in that case. It is because water being what I say heavier than oil settles at the bottom, whereas this oil floats above and continues to burn. And see how you know how water is useful in fire extinguishing. It is shown over here. When water is thrown on fire, it cools the combustible substance below its ignition temperature and prevent the fire from spreading. The next slide is that water when heated by fire. You know, like how the fire could be extinguished. It's saying in this. So water when heated by fire forms what? Forms a water vapor which surrounds the combustible substance and therefore cuts the supply of air. So as it cuts the supply of air, the fire will be automatically extinguished. So we are saying that water is very effective in firefighting operations. So I believe you understood about this water as a fire extinguisher and firefighting. So I'll explain it to you again. So what is firefighting? Firefighting is the act of attempting to prevent the spread of and extinguish significant unwanted fires in buildings, vehicles, woodlands, etc. So again, what is firefighting? It means the act of preventing the spread of fire or extinguishing the unwanted fire. And what I said as two principles of firefighting operations. One is bringing down the temperature of the bringing down the ignition temperature, and the second is cutting off the air supply, that is mainly the oxygen. And next is water as fire extinguisher, as we have discussed. What if a fire breaks out in our neighborhood or in our village or anything like that? We have to dial 101 if we are in India, or if we are in UAE 998. And what happens, how the fire fighters extinguish the fire. So that we are going in the next. When a fire brigade arrives, the firemen extinguish the fire by throwing water under pressure on the fire. And what happens when water is thrown on fire? It cools the combustible substance down or below its ignition temperature, and thus it prevents the fire from spreading. So we can say that how the fire like stop. The first thing before slide we understood that how to prevent the fire from spreading. Now the next slide we are seeing that how to extinguish this fire. So as I said, water when heated by fire forms a water vapor which surrounds the combustible substance and helps in the cutting of the supply of air. So this water is very effective in fire fighting operations. And thank you guys. Have a nice day.